on Intro to Music Ed, today's topic is special needs education.
What is special needs education?
That's a great question. The term special education has historically referred to the process of educating children with mild to severe physical, emotional, or intellectual disabilities. These disabilities often result in a necessity for special or modified educational experiences. This is why it is of utmost importance for educators to focus on inclusion, which is the term for educating students with special needs in regular classrooms. While it is very common in current classrooms to involve those of special needs, it has been highly debated whether students of exceptional needs should be taught in separate programs specialized for them. In spite of this, the overall consensus has been to integrate students of exceptional needs into the standard program, as it allows for said students to adapt to the conditions of the outside world. In turn, it is the job of all educators to be able to both identify these disabilities and have methods to properly educate any student, regardless of their emotional, intellectual, or physical disabilities. There are a wide variety of different disabilities which all translate differently into music education. Some examples of said disabilities include, but are not limited to, deafness, a severe physical impairment that interferes with the processing of linguistic information with or without amplification. Music teachers can help by learning sign language and having deaf students feel rhythmic vibrations of the music or instruments. Intellectual disability, significant sub-average intellectual functioning in combination with deficits of adaptive behavior. Visual cues such as conductors' beat patterns can help said students with rhythmic accuracy. Emotional disturbance, an inability to learn, maintain personal relationships, and behave in normal ways that are not attributable to mental or health disorders. This may include aggressive behavior. Music teachers should provide role models, present a variety of repertoire for maximum expression, and make time for musical exploration and improvisation. These are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what different types of disabilities a student in your classroom may have. While it is always a good idea to learn more about the specific disabilities of each student in your class, the following list of strategies is a great guide to follow and practice for students across all different disability levels. Introduce new information in small steps. Provide highly structured activities. Provide clearly defined expectations. Use predictable routines. Give simple yet explicit instructions. Use teacher modeling and imitation frequently. Allow plenty of repetition and practice. Allow plenty of time for processing and responding. Use clues to facilitate recall. Be patient and give positive reinforcement. Use peer tutoring. Create multi-model and multi-sensory presentations. Plan activities using both gross and fine motor skills. Use materials that can be manipulated. Use excellent music. Strive to limit interruptions. Assess learning by having students show rather than tell their understanding of music. By using this list of strategies, music educators can properly be prepared regardless of diversity and level of disability within the classroom.
To be able to properly educate students of exceptional needs, teachers of any subject also need to have a good grasp of the legal background to special education. In the past, Congress has enacted a variety of bills to help enhance the rights of disabled Americans. The Education for All Handicapped Children Act was passed in November of 1975, and it reads, "It is the purpose of the Act to ensure that all handicapped children have available to them, within the time period specified, a free, appropriate public education which emphasizes special education and related services designed to meet their unique needs, to ensure that the rights of the handicapped children and their parent or guardians are protected, to assist the state and the localities to provide for the education of all handicapped children, and to assess and assure the effectiveness of efforts to educate handicapped children." Before the 1970s, most children of special needs either received a poor education or even none at all. Two very significant court cases, Diana versus the State Board of Education, California, 1970, and the Arc of Pennsylvania Association versus the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, 1972, both established rights for children with disabilities for a proper education. The 1975 Education for All Handicapped Children Act, later renamed the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, better known as IDEA, IDEA, guaranteed that such children have a legal right to free and appropriate public education, FAPE, because the words disabled and handicapped have different meanings in law. This act better involved all handicapped children, regardless of if their disability was physical, intellectual, or emotional. This led to the addition of features to better accommodate physically handicapped students in schools, such as the addition of ramps and shortened water fountains for students in wheelchairs.
But how does the law define who falls under the umbrella of handicapped students?
Great question, Carson. The law defines an individual as disabled if he or she has a physical or mental impairment that is substantially limiting to one or more major life activity, has a record of such impairment, or is regarded by others as having such an impairment. In Public Laws 94 through 142, it is also specified that students with special needs must be provided individualized services, part of which is a written Individualized Education Program, or an IEP. The Act states that a written statement for each handicapped child shall be developed in any meeting by a representative of the local educational agency or an intermediate educational unit who shall be qualified to provide or supervise the provision of specially designed instruction to meet the unique needs of handicapped children, the teacher, the parents, or the guardians of such. And whenever appropriate, the child, whose statement shall include a statement of the present levels of educational performance of such child, a statement of annual goals including short-term instructional objectives, a statement of the specific educational services to be provided to such child, and the extent to which such child will be able to participate in regular educational activities. This also includes the projected date for initiation and anticipated duration of such services, and appropriate objective criteria and evaluation procedures and schedules for determining on at least an annual bias whether instructional objectives are being achieved. IDEA also requires that students with disabilities have a free, appropriate education in the least restrictive environment that meets their individual needs. It does not require inclusion. However, when inclusion appears to be appropriate, IEP documents provide reasons and go great lengths to place students in the least restrictive environment possible. Since the enactment of the Public Laws 94 through 142, Congress have passed even more legislation to further strengthen the rights of disabled persons. For example, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, Public Law 101 through 336, was signed into law in 1990, which extended federal civil rights to protect disabled people. This act emphasizes putting the individual first rather than the disability. This means discrimination in school or work environments based on any disability is strictly prohibited. It is essentially a guideline for music educators who need to be particularly sensitive to the needs of disabled students. Whether the impairment is physical, emotional, or intellectual, the teacher must make all reasonable efforts to accommodate those students in a manner that they too can enjoy the musical activities that other students are able to. Newer legislation on the matter includes the No Child Left Behind Act, or the NCLB, of 2002, which gave students with disabilities access to the same tests that regular students took, but with IEP accommodations. Alongside this, a reauthorization of IDEA titled the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act, or the IDEIA, of 2004, which provides new policies that allowed schools to remove dangerous students from regular classrooms for an extended period of time. It also gave paraprofessionals and veteran teachers a new set of standards, as well as lightened the load of paperwork burdens associated with managing the student programs. Although there's not been much research to compare the achievements of disabled students with inclusion to the classroom versus those without, there have been studies that show that the practice of inclusion to the classroom has resulted in greater social acceptance and cognitive acceptance of differently abled students in the classroom. Along with this greater social acceptance, there's been a reform away from using the term special needs in favor of an all-inclusive model of universal design instruction, which is based on the principles of equitable and flexible classrooms for all students, no matter what their disability or ability may be.
But how does the legal background of special education affect my work as a teacher in the classroom?
Well, by knowing what rights and resources both yourself as a teacher and the students you teach have, you can properly provide an enriched educational experience for them. For example, because of the rights and resources provided by these acts, a student who is physically impaired would still be allowed to play on the sideline for a pep band. Or perhaps a student who struggles intellectually could still sing, just like any other student in a choir. It is important as a music educator to make use of these rights and resources to properly advocate for and support your students within your program.
While many disabilities or handicaps may be easy to notice or see, there's one aspect of special education that is often overlooked.
We've already recognized all the disabilities a teacher might need to accommodate for in a classroom, right?
Not quite. One big factor in a student's education is the environment they are in. This is especially present in urban education. When we talk about urban education, we are referring to schooling that takes place in a large city environment. These places often have dense and diverse populations, limited resources, and complex social and economic challenges, making it a very difficult place to teach. But to truly understand the current realities of urban education, you first have to look at the historical and social forces that shape these school systems. Many of the challenges seen in today's urban classrooms trace back to the mid-20th century when national policies and population shifts dramatically changed the educational landscape. In the 1960s, America would go through a social revolution, and it had major impacts on education. Before that, all schools operated on the educational needs of the white middle class, and that served as a mold for all education in America. But these new ideas brought by the social revolution would make it clear that this way of educating was no longer feasible. In a historical analysis, Robert H. would define this shift in 3 phases. Phase 1 is marked by the 1954 Supreme Court decision in Brown versus the Board of Education. This marked a turning point in American education as it declared that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. In the years that followed, many African Americans migrated from rural areas to urban centers, seeking better employment opportunities and access to the improved educational systems promised by desegregation. However, this period also saw significant white middle-class flight to the suburbs, as many families left urban districts in response to the changing demographics and court-ordered integration efforts. As a result, urban schools, particularly those in economically disadvantaged neighborhoods, often face new challenges, including limited resources, overcrowding, and shifting community support, all of which continue to influence urban music education today. Phase 2 would begin around 1958 alongside and in part caused by the economic depression. While Brown versus the Board of Education promised equality and integration, the reality in many urban areas became far more complicated. In the years following the decision, concerns and controversy grew as the school segregation actually increased, influenced by the economic depression and deeply entrenched neighborhood residential patterns that kept communities divided by race and class. During this period, African Americans began to more actively challenge these long-established patterns of segregation, demanding equal access to quality education and community resources. The rising momentum for change alongside the broader civil rights movement, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as a central leader advocating for nonviolent resistance as a powerful tool for confronting systematic inequality and discrimination. These social and political shifts had a direct impact on urban education, shaping not only who was in the classroom, but also the culture, economic, and emotional climate in which these teachers, including music educators, were working. Phase 3 began when the growing demand for equality and justice reached a defining moment with the March on Washington in 1963, a powerful protest against the long-standing racial policies and discriminatory practices in American society. This event not only brought national attention to issues of segregation and inequality, but it also amplified the call for meaningful federal action. In response to sustained activism and public pressure, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed, prohibiting many forms of racial discrimination, including education, employment, and public accommodations. The following year, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 further advanced civil rights by ensuring fairer access to the ballot box. As a result, boards of education around the U.S. began to take more active measures against school segregation, attempting to implement the ideas of Brown versus the Board of Education through policies like busing. However, progress remained uneven and often met with resistance. Then, in 1968, the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. sent shockwaves across the nation. In many cities, urban populations erupted into anger and grief, expressing years of pent-up frustration over persistent inequality, economic hardship, and unfulfilled promises of justice. This period of turmoil and transformation deeply affected urban communities and their schools, shaping the social context in which music education and other cultural programs would need to adapt, respond, and rebuild. Unfortunately, during this time, urban education suffered. Student achievements in reading and math of urban areas was far below that of the suburbs, and the school dropout rate and crime rate both increased as programs to reform education continued to fall short. It became increasingly clear that these students were becoming at risk. A student at risk does refer to a student at risk of not graduating, but it may also refer to students who might graduate but with an inadequate education. Students who are at risk have always been at the forefront of educational reform, and while there are students at risk in suburbs, small towns, and rural schools, the problem is especially bad in urban schools. So, what is the government doing to help? The federal government has tried to address this problem in many ways. Title I of the ESEA, or the Elementary and Second Education Act, passed in 1965, which provided more funding for K-12 programs. Title V of the ESEA established the Teacher Corps. This program recruited and trained new teachers, often recent college graduates, and placed them in high-need schools to work alongside experienced educators. They hope to improve urban education one classroom at a time by preparing these educators to work effectively in the challenging school environment. Alongside these programs was the Trainers of Teacher Trainers program. This was a part of the Educational Professional Development Act, the EPDA, which was passed as an amendment to the ESEA in 1967. This focused more on improving the quality, quantity, and preparation of the teachers, and was funded until 1973. Then, beginning in the 1990s, the Peace Corps, alongside several urban school systems and more than 20 universities, began to establish teacher education programs for returning Peace Corps volunteers, many of which had experience teaching disadvantaged students in other countries. The overall success of these programs was limited due to the complexity of the urban education problem and the funding needed to continue them. But they would go on to inspire new, more modern programs, like the Teach for America organization. Teach for America is a nonprofit organization that began in 1990 and is still operating today. As recently as 2013, it placed almost 6,000 new members into educational positions. How does this affect music education? Well, before the social revolution, music instruction in urban schools was not much different from music in other types of school systems. You utilize the same materials such as classical and folk music, but as the social revolution took hold, this would slowly start to shift into other, more diverse genres and styles of music, including pop, jazz, hip-hop, mariachi, and world music. And becoming familiar with all these different types of music is one of the unique challenges of the urban music educator. Music teachers are in a unique position as educators because they have far more opportunities to relate to their students through music. Oftentimes, art programs can provide a supportive, nourishing environment for students who are at risk. Many students will remain in school solely because of their interest and commitment to band, choir, orchestra, or the other art programs. And through this realization came the development of magnet schools. Magnet schools offer specialized training in the arts, partnerships among schools and community groups, parent groups, and many other benefits, as the idea was to draw all the students interested in the arts into one place. These schools and others like them have several factors in common that make them well suited for urban education. Individualization, reflecting sensitivity to culture and gender, high academic expectations for all students, early intervention, particularly for critical school transitions, parental involvement, motivation through active student participation in learning, peer influence as a positive reinforcement tool, and relation of the curriculum across the school day. Despite all these educational innovations, music education remains fraught with challenges. Yet it also remains as one of the most important parts of education, especially within urban environments. Thus, it remains our duty as music educators to provide a safe, supportive, and nourishing environment for our students.
When looking at special needs education, The students that often first come to mind are those who are physically, mentally, or emotionally impaired, or may have outer circumstances that cause them to struggle in class. However, it is also important to consider the opposite end of the spectrum.
Well, what other students could possibly have special or exceptional needs?
That's a great question, Danny. The answer is students who are gifted children. The National Association for Gifted Children, NAGC for short, classifies these children as students who give evidence of high achievement capability in areas such as intellectual, creative, artistic, or leadership capacity, and who need services and activities not ordinarily provided from the school in order to develop those capabilities. While these students may not struggle to keep up with the average curriculum, they are capable of much more beyond it, thus often leading them to struggle to focus in class or find importance within education. This is why it is of utmost priority to provide further education opportunities to both enrich the student and to continue keeping them engaged in class.
I can see what you mean, but how does any of this relate to music?
Gifted students can be found in all music programs. For example, students with exceptional leadership capability could very easily thrive as a section leader. Or perhaps a student with exceptional music capabilities could be pushed to participate in out-of-school events such as clinics or ensemble groups or even solo festivals. It is the job of all music educators to provide a proper music education to students of all learning levels and needs. Take some time to try and brainstorm how you could help bolster the education of both gifted students and those of special needs.
Now that we've spent a fair amount of time talking about special or exceptional education, let's review what we've learned.
Students with a variety of special needs can be found in all classrooms. This is why it is crucial to be inclusive and refer to the list of teaching strategies teachers can use to help enrich students of all different disability levels.
As a teacher, it is important to take note of the legal aspects of special education. This will allow you to know what resources you, as well as your students, can take advantage of to best enrich their education.
In urban education, it is also important to take note of your environment and the cultures of your students, and use proper teaching techniques to properly educate them.
It's all to say that as music educators, it is of utmost importance to remember that music is and always should be for everyone. As quoted by Henry Longfellow, music is the universal language of all mankind. So who are we as music educators to not provide a well-rounded music education for all students?
As you continue to observe classrooms and performances, try to look for ways directors and music educators involve students with a variety of special needs. Take note of both the positives and the negative methods that you see and save them for future reference.
And finally, continue to prepare to teach students with exceptional needs by helping your peers. Not only will they appreciate your kindness, but it is also good practice for your future students.
Thank you for watching. This has been Intro to Music Ed.
So I'll make a cut in the video.
My camera.
Don't
make my face go
focus.
weird.
Now,
Up here? Need you down here, okay?
and performances, try to look for ways directors and music educators.
Yeah.
But we already done.
Sorry.
As a teacher, it is important.